Everyone, Hassan here. You're listening to the NintendoFuse podcast. Sorry, it glitched for a second there, and I was like, wait, what? Did it start or not? I don't know, but I think we started. We're good. All right. We are in business. Today is November 6th, 2017, and this is episode number 142, entitled Let's Do the Odyssey. All right, I'm not going to sing anymore. That's going to be all the singing that I'm doing for this episode. So today we are back at it to discuss the latest and greatest from Nintendo. To discuss it all with me, I have Steve.
Hey, everybody. And I think it'd be great, Hassan, if you did continue to sing. It would be so reminiscent of the early days in the podcast. So feel free to continue on.
Yeah. I don't know if I think people are probably happy that we stopped with those singing days. But we also have Greg here with us.
Hey everyone, no insert corny joke here.
And back with us again, we have Barry, who has returned.
Hey guys, I actually want to see and hear Hassan sing every one of his lines throughout the entire podcast. Like the whole thing, every question, every news topic, just sung by Hassan.
Let's try. I would see in the comments, like if we just flood the comments with all your requests for Hassan to sing, and we'll make it happen next time.
Oh gosh, for our Game of the Year podcast, is that what you want for the next podcast? I have to sing my Game of the Year choices.
The third item on my list was Xenoblade Chronicles.
all like Christmas music.
Yeah. 12 days of Christmas, 12 days of Nintendo. There you
go. That would kind of be great, except for if somebody could actually sing, then that would be pretty interesting.
You know what? I just realized this. I'm kind of mad about our Game of the Year podcast already because it's going to be the very beginning of December, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 will have just come out or might not have even been out yet, and will not get a fair shot, and that's not right.
True. I guess, we'll learn a bit about the game tomorrow, as we'll kind of, mention as well a little later. So hopefully we'll have a good enough idea of sort of what to expect. But yeah, I was thinking a lot about that Game of the Year episode for next month, and it's going to be very interesting.
What date does it release? Because I think the podcast would be the 4th. So if it's like the 1st, then it would be fine.
The 1st, right?
Yeah. I don't remember.
So with Xenoblade, we get 2% of the game in those 3 days.
Yeah, I know.
I'll barely have it 100%ed by then.
No. I'll only have it at about 85%.
There we go. So looks like in the chat we have hashtag Make Hassan Sing getting trending in the chat going over here. So
make it happen.
Apparently that's a thing. So shout out to everybody that is in the chat right now. We have Blake in the chat. We got Steve Desmarais. We also had Javery Jefferson as well. To shout out to all of you. To anybody else that is in the chat, say hi. We'll read your comments live. That's the fun thing about this podcast is we do this live so that we can get your comments in here as well. And this is really kind of like a community podcast. We want all of you to be involved as well. So we have a bunch of different things to talk about tonight. So we are going to discuss some recent sales data. We're also going to briefly talk about it. I forgot that this happened recently as well, but the Nintendo Switch update that happened recently with that added video capture and stuff. We're going to talk about the Animal Crossing mobile game, a little bit of stuff on Super Mario Odyssey, and then look ahead towards the holidays. So we got a packed lineup of discussion for tonight. So let's jump right to it. So first up, we have some sales data that has been released from Nintendo recently. So in the quarter ending in September, Nintendo has sold nearly 3 million Switch consoles and nearly 14 million games for the Switch. So as of September 30th, the total came out to 7.63 million Switch consoles and 27.48 million games. The results are so much better that they are revising their estimates for the Switch sales. Instead of 10 million, they're revising it up to 14 million Switch systems this year. So that's pretty great. Breath of the Wild is still a top-selling game for the Switch with more than 4.7 million copies. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is second with 4.42 million, and Splatoon 2 in third with 3.61 million sold. The 3DS systems also did a decent amount of sales, sold just shy of 2 million systems for the quarter. To date, Nintendo has sold about 69 million 3DS systems and 343 million games for the system. That is not including Super Mario Odyssey's release or the holiday sales or any of that stuff that's happened for Nintendo so far. So I would say that's pretty good. What do you guys think after hearing the sales data?
Yeah, it's definitely it's surprising. Like, I think actually how high they are, considering that there wasn't very many of them to really go around. And so yeah, it's been great. I think it's been really cool to, like, as a Nintendo fan, a longtime Nintendo fan, it's been really cool to actually hear a lot of like random companies out there, like journalists and everything, that are not even video game centric, that are just entertainment type blogs or whatever, and they're like, yeah, Nintendo's coming back, they're back on the top. And that's really, really cool to just to hear that people are talking and excited about Nintendo again, and they very well should be, because it's pretty cool. The Switch is a great system, and 3DS has been a great system for a while, and we've known that. But now it's pretty cool to see have a home console rising to the top again. And yeah, it doesn't, like we talked about before, it doesn't have take your breath away kind of graphics, like a PS4 Pro or Xbox One X. Is that what it's called? I forget what it's called. But so many different things that don't make sense. But it doesn't matter, because it's still a fun system to play, and you can take things on the go, which is really awesome. And I think a lot of people are really enjoying that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I was going to say real quick, I just want to mention in the chat, I want to give a shout out to Javery Jefferson, who gave us a little donation as well. So we truly appreciate that. Thank you so much, Javery. We really appreciate that. If you guys have anything to say, again, please let us know in the chat as well. Any thoughts on what we are discussing, and we'd be happy to read your comments on the podcast as well, and have you guys be a part of it. So yeah. So what about you, Greg? What are your thoughts on this?
I actually thought it was pretty incredible. I had listened to something that already kind of talked about the data, and it's actually pretty close to the Wii U lifetime sales. And this is like not even a year on the market. So that is speaking volumes of the Switch console to begin with. And if it continues this momentum, it's sure going to be passing that mark at some point early next year or mid next year or whatever. So that's just so incredible. I'm really happy to see that the system is doing so well. It has so many great games, so many more are coming. And come on, everybody, let's make it happen. Go buy a Switch or two.
Yeah, just to correct you there quickly, Greg, it's not close to the Wii U yet. The Wii U is at just shy of 14 million. It's on pace to beat the Wii U in a total year, which is awesome. Which is better
I didn't
than.
remember how close it was, but I knew it was like quickly approaching. Like it was already more than half the lifetime, something like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty amazing to see that, and I think Steve, you mentioned that so the graphics or whatever don't necessarily take your breath away, but I think the breath that was taken away was from Breath of the Wild and the sales that came with that, and how I just remember hearing the initial reports of how there were more copies of the game sold than systems at one point, and I was like, what? Like, that is insane. So I feel like that was a really, really good move on Nintendo's part to launch with that game. And then not only that, to keep following it up with content from there. And now, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about Super Mario Odyssey in a little while, but I mean, it's just been a continuous stream of support, which has been awesome to see.
Yeah, I think Nintendo actually put out a little quick video thing on Facebook that I noticed, I think yesterday, just talking about showing, logos of all the different games that has launched since the Switch launched earlier this year. And there's just so much, and we've talked about this many times, but I think that's the biggest thing, that not only is it a great system, and not only does that you have a lot of benefits to be able to take it on the go and all these great things that we talk about, but there really is a great lineup, and it's been consistently coming. And so much as we've discussed how Game of the Year is going to be difficult because there are so many great games that keep coming out. And if you get a Switch, you've already got quite the lineup to get caught up on if you're getting it this holiday season.
Well, this all proves the whole soft launch idea. You look at right now, the Switch has sold over 7 million. Odyssey just launched, and these numbers were up until September, so this doesn't count October. You look at this coming month, every single week there's not only more releases, but there's big releases. You've got Doom, you've got LA Noire, and they're big third party. LA Noire, you got Skyrim, you got Rocket League, leading up to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And this is the launch. This is the launch window, the real launch window. And for people who are getting a Switch now, that are like, oh, now Mario's out, now I want it. There's over 40 physical titles already. There's over 200 total titles. And we're still 8 months. We're not even there yet. We still got a few more months to go for a full year, and the holiday hasn't technically hit yet. So Nintendo is in amazing, amazing position as long as they can keep up the demand. One thing I do find funny is that I think it was in that same report was the #1 selling console was the SNES Classic. Which outsold everything, which I thought was like, wow, on top of all this great Switch success and 3DS success, there's still the SNES Classic, which outsold everything.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show the power of, Nintendo at its best, where they're really bringing it in all areas. They have the retro stuff with the SNES Classic, bringing back the nostalgia. They're killing it with the new console and everything, and just for the sort of, I guess you could almost call it the more budget area with the 3DS, because they have like the 2DS, which is much cheaper and stuff, so kind of for that lower end as well. So I mean, from all ends they're really bringing the content, except for perhaps things like the online services with virtual console and that sort of thing. That might be an area where they could also get us, hopefully eventually, but at least for now they're doing a pretty good job of bringing lots of stuff to us, which has been pretty great for sure.
Now I want to pose a quick question to you based off of these sales, and this is to everybody, and to the listeners who want to chime in. Reggie has gone on to state that they are going to continue support the 3DS. The 3DS they look at more as an introductory system at this point, and they say they're going to plan more introductory, family-friendly, easier games too. Obviously, this holiday they're totally supporting it. We've got Pokemon in just 2 weeks or whatever, and they've had a decent year with Metroid and Dragon Quest and Hey Pikmin and Miitopia and stuff like that. But going forward, after they released that about 20% of the Switch population play it like I do, docked, and about 30% play it only in handheld, and everybody else in the middle plays it both docked and handheld. Do you think Nintendo will actually, even though they've said it before, I mean, remember they said the GBA and the DS and the GameCube would all survive. The DS was a third pillar. The Game Boy Advance would survive, and the Game Boy Advance obviously didn't. Do you think that they will quietly sweep the 3DS under the rug next year and focus everything on the Switch and just have the Switch be both the Wii U and the 3DS's successor?
I think I'll go ahead and jump in and say that I think they'll keep it around for a little bit. But I think similar to the Game Boy, I think unless they put any effort into either taking it to the next level or doing something else with it at its current status or whatever, like the current new 2DS and new 3DS, I think it doesn't have much left in its life cycle as far as like new content. I think it's a great thing. I think it'll still survive for a long time, similar to the Game Boy Advance. Even after they stopped producing them, it had still some legs with it, but I don't think it's got a long life ahead of it. Basically because the Switch is just knocking it out of the water, and it's going to be so much better in the long run, especially when they can get it even a little bit cheaper, or if they do come along and do like a mini version or whatever, like those rumors have been going around. Then at that point, I don't think the DS line stands a chance anymore because the Switch is so much better and so much more powerful. But if they come along and say, hey, we still believe in this dual screen thing, and therefore we're going to create the next one, then maybe it does. But if this is as far as it goes, and they're just going to try to keep putting out games, that's not going to last very much longer, I don't think.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with Steve and say that I think a little bit longer, maybe next year, is sort of where it kind of truly dies out. And I think the main reason being software support. I think they were able to have back-to-back-to-back games this year because the Wii U suffered and didn't. And in that time, rather than trying to prolong that suffering, they said, you know what, on the behind the scenes, we're just going to focus on a lot of stuff for Switch and have it ready. But they don't want to lose that momentum, because if they lose that momentum after the Wii U, and then if they lose it on Switch, like, I don't know what they're going to do. And so I think they're going to want to put every effort into bringing all the franchises to Switch. I mean, Pokemon's coming to Switch now. So that was, obviously handheld only for so long, but now the next mainline game is coming to Switch. And so things like that, they're really going to try and shift focus more and more to the Switch, I think. And give it a year or two, and you may see a little bit of a price drop or like a smaller version or something to give it that differentiator, that sort of thing. But there's already so many iterations of the 3DS. Like, unless you do something totally new, I don't know how much more you can iterate on it. And to do something totally new means a whole slew of new software that you then have to support it with, which takes away from the Switch. So I feel like now Nintendo's just going to focus on one big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of see that as their primary console now. There's not really a need to have both consoles. Like, obviously with them having to compete with phones and plus the Xbox and the PlayStation, I see it. They more play on their strength, which has always been the handheld kind of portion of it, and then they obviously get the bonus of the Switch going to the TV as a kind of a bonus there. So I kind of think that it'll just be a matter of time before the 3DS is kind of more phased out, kind of silently and quietly, and then it'll just be mostly the Switch. The way I see it. But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there, Greg, though, because they have been focusing more on mobile. And in a way, I mean, it's not necessarily a third tier for them, I think officially, but it could develop into another tier for them. And maybe eventually they really do have the Switch, which is the hybrid thing, and then they have the mobile games. And that becomes their two systems, if you will, over time, because I think they had a lot of third party support over on the handhelds for a long time, and they've always for the most part struggled on the console side of things. But now that they're starting to get some of that third party support on the console, don't try to do another handheld and try to get them back over on the DS side. Keep it going to this hybrid system you made, and don't cut yourself short. I think would be my suggestion to Nintendo if they were actually going to listen to me. But keep pouring into this, because I think they don't have to worry about splitting their team anymore or anything like that. They're all going on the same system, and I think that's just only going to make that better in the long run.
Well, they had merged both of those, the console and handheld developers into same teams type of thing. So
right,
I don't see them. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did, but it's still they were focusing on two different things. And now, even though they're merged on the same team, if they got rid of the handheld, that same team would be able to focus on one thing instead of kind of splitting. I think in my mind, we saw it, in the tea leaves, so to speak. When they started merging those teams, I think that was writing on the wall that eventually they wanted to combine all efforts really into this kind of hybrid system that fits everybody's needs.
Yeah, I agree completely. I definitely think with the merging was the writing on the wall. And it's a smart thing. I mean, you think about Nintendo pretty much kept the Wii U afloat, if you will, by themselves. And that's not an easy thing to do. So had the 3DS not existed, all the 3DS games were also on the Wii U, the Wii U would have been a whole different beast. So if they can do that with the Switch, especially with this momentum, it's going to be incredible. Now, Hassan, you mentioned Pokemon. There's one interesting thing about Pokemon. If you look at the history of Pokemon, and I think this works for most examples, if not all, every generation that has had a third game or a sequel, it's always come 2 years later. Yellow came 2 years later, Crystal came 2 years later, Emerald 2 years later, etc. Sun and Moon just came out last year. The main Pokemon team is not working on Ultra Sun and Moon. It is a sub team. It's like the B team, and it's only coming out 1 year later. It's almost like, you know what, we got to rush. Like, the 3DS doesn't have another Christmas left. And if we launch this in March or April or May, on the last year of the 3DS, it's not going to do nearly as well. Let's get it by Christmas within a year. And I know a lot of people are confused about Ultra Sun and Moon. They're talking about how it should be on Switch instead. I remember the exact same conversation when Black 2 and White 2 happened. Why isn't this on 3DS instead? The 3DS is not selling. Why is this going to the DS? Pokemon Conquest was also part of that group as well, which came out after. But I thought, when I heard that news, and I thought, yeah, there's a reason. The main Pokemon team is working on Switch. This is just a rush. Not saying Ultra Sun and Moon is going to be a bad game, but it's clearly a Majora's Mask kind of situation where take the engine, run with it, make something to fill that, because they have no other holiday season. And or holiday game, I mean, and this holiday season, they are banking on Pokemon. There's the I Choose You movie that's out right now. There's the new Pokemon, new 2DS XL. They are banking on Pokemon nostalgia to carry the 3DS into 2018. And where it goes from there, who knows?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think definitely that's a good point. And I think, they're really trying to put in whatever effort they can in the 3DS this holiday to see how it goes. Now I want to kind of move on to the next sort of discussion that we have for tonight. So lots of good sales data. We'll see where it continues, and of course we'll revisit it in a couple months once we have the results for the end of the year sales and see how all that goes. In the meantime, Nintendo is supporting the Switch with a new system update. So some of the features they promised at the start are finally available, like video capture. So now you hold down the capture button for like half a second to a second, and then it will basically record the last 30 seconds of gameplay, only for select games for now: Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, ARMS, and Splatoon 2. And eventually more games will be updated to have support as well. And Super Mario Odyssey, of course, that launched with support. And also data transfer is available, not data backup. Key differentiator here. You cannot back up your data, but you can transfer your data from one system to another. So if you, I guess, the one example would be, let's say you have a one Switch system that you're sharing, and then somebody in your family is like, you know what, I want my own Switch. Rather than them having to lose all their content, they can transfer their profile and the associated save data over to the other Switch. So you still have to have both systems with you, and you can transfer one user with the save data to the other. So limited usage, but I can see, some cases where that might be helpful. And a couple other minor little things as well. USB headsets are compatible with the Switch, except not for voice chat and games, because that's a whole other can of worms. And you can listen to our podcast in the past for that whole, nightmare of a thing, which I'm using the Splatoon headset now for the podcast and not actually on the Switch because there's no point. But anyways, I digress. Also, some USB controller support, like you can use GameCube controllers on some games, even down to the DK bongos if you wanted to. So things like that they've kind of been adding to the Switch, and hopefully more to come. Have you guys been trying out like the video capture feature at all?
Yeah, I have. I was recording different stuff for Mario Odyssey, which is cool because I thought, when we do our game chat or just even in a review or something like that, it'd be cool to have different captures and stuff of some different scenes and everything, especially the cut scenes and everything. And it was really cool to be able to just push that down. It was like, oh, that was a really cool cut scene. Boom, done, and it's saved. And I don't have to worry about running through a capture device and integrating on my computer or anything like that. I can just take it right then and there. So it's pretty cool. I haven't shared any though. They just pretty much just stayed on my Switch, but on my SD card, which I do think it's interesting that they haven't started any YouTube sharing, because we all know that there's a huge deal between YouTube and Nintendo, and everybody's sharing stuff and the rights and monetization and all that junk. But they've stated to just Facebook and Twitter, which I don't normally save or share videos, especially gaming videos, on Facebook and Twitter usually. So I would probably normally share them to YouTube or even Twitch or something like that. But so we'll see if support comes down the line. But it's pretty cool to just be able to save right then and there. And I do hope that future games will incorporate that, especially even third party. Like that's something that I really enjoy. Rocket League, like on Xbox or even in PlayStation, when I score a really cool goal, it's awesome just to like hit record, and it records the last 30 seconds or whatever, and I can share that out to my friends and say, wasn't this awesome, this goal that I somehow pulled off. Things like that. It's just fun to be able to do it, and it's cool that the Switch has that kind of horsepower to be able to kind of constantly be recording that stuff and be able to spit it out for you right there. Just something I don't think I expected it to be able to do, and it's cool that it can.
I definitely haven't really given it a shot yet. I didn't really think about recording anything, but now I'm certainly getting ideas. But I'm also not usually one to share that stuff to like Facebook and Twitter. It would be more whatever, YouTube, maybe even something called Miiverse, but we don't get that either. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'll probably start playing around with it as the holidays approach, and maybe we'll get some like Skyrim clips and stuff like that when I start playing. But other than that, I don't really know too much what else I feel like sharing. Like, hey, watch me play this. I don't know. I'll have to see.
Yeah.
What about you, Barry?
I've messed around with it. I recorded a couple of videos for Odyssey. But you did forget one more game has the feature added. Nintendo's often forgotten about published game for the Switch, which is 1-2-Switch. Everyone has forgotten about. Actually has a recording feature now too. But yeah, it's a great feature. It's something I hope third parties utilize.
What's the point of recording stuff in 1-2-Switch?
I don't know, but it's there.
Like
they added it.
I forgot that game even
Maybe
existed.
play the
So
ball game.
It's like
Yes.
How many balls are on the controller?
that was a very memorable moment that I have to record and share with everyone on Twitter.
it was memorable, like in my hand, like that. It's really cool because I really was convinced that there really are things in the controller, but I can't record that.
Right.
You can. You just can't use your Switch to do it. It's
Exactly.
Your cell phone.
I mean, I guess it's cool that they support it, but I don't expect to see like trending 1-2-Switch videos on Twitter.
Hey, you never know. Stranger things have happened.
Stranger Things has happened. It's a great show.
Stranger Things is so good. It has nothing to do with Nintendo. Well, kind of. It all takes place in the 80s, but
Hey, look, I didn't mean it in that context. The fact that you took it, that's a whole new can of worms.
no, you just have to mention it.
No, but I think so. I did hear a rumor from Laura Kate Dale, who did a bunch of these Switch rumors before it came out, and I think she works for Kotaku UK now. that they are planning on extending the 30-second recording to like 1 minute, 2 minute, maybe 5 minutes, kind of like longer time frames. They first want to get it to, all first-party titles, then sort of like the collaborations like Mario and Rabbids, and then eventually third parties. And then once a lot of titles support it, they're going to extend the time frame. I'm hoping, I guess I should say, that once they extend the time frame, that's when they'll allow YouTube uploads. Because I guess right now it's like 30 seconds max. Maybe it's not really, as worth sharing on YouTube per se. But hopefully down the road they bring that back. Because that was definitely a lot of fun sharing. Like, what was it? Mario Kart, I think, on the Wii U, right? That had the YouTube sharing. So they took it away from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So it'd be nice for them to bring it back through this feature, for sure.
Right. Yeah. I thought one of the other updates with the USB stuff was funny because they didn't realize, at least it seems like from interviews and stuff, that other controllers would be able to be used, like the GameCube adapter and stuff like that. It was just kind of a byproduct of them enabling the USB stuff for other controllers, and all of a sudden, like, people found out, hey, these other ones work too. And so that was just kind of fun kind of thing that they admitted. They're like, oh, we didn't even realize this, which I guess is a way of them, confirming that it's not secretive, way of, Smash Brothers is going to be coming out like next month or something like that. So I guess that's their way of saying, oh no, like, it's not, like, promise, we didn't realize this was going to happen either. But at the same time, like, that's just weird that they admit that they didn't realize that would happen. I'm like, did you not test it in house? That's just odd to me.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was about to say. I mean, I'm a tester by trade, and there's no way you would release like a major update and not like know what kind of controllers are going to be able to work. I wonder if that was more for like a publicity kind of thing, like, hey, guess what? The GameCube controllers now work, fully function. I don't know. It's kind of where I more saw it. I mean, I don't know.
I think it was a happy accident. I honestly think they probably didn't know, because this is Nintendo we're talking about here. Let's not forget. A lot of things happen on accident, and as long as they roll with it, people were totally reading into it. Oh, Smash is coming. Oh, GameCube Virtual Console's coming. I don't necessarily think any of that's coming tomorrow, but I think they could utilize this and say, hey, we didn't plan for this, but since it does work, we could remanufacture the GameCube controller adapters and those Smash controllers, maybe put, Nintendo Switch on the logo or something, and now we can utilize this for Smash. Now we can utilize this for GameCube Virtual Console or anything else. Who knows?
Yeah, I think like Barry said, I think it was a happy accident, because I didn't try it myself, but I heard that some games, like the buttons didn't all work in certain games. Like, it wasn't like 100% compatible with everything, and I feel like if it was meant to be, then it would have been, or there was some way around it. I think it wasn't even in the release notes or anything. It was sort of like a day or two later, there were like videos popping up, people trying it out and that sort of thing. So definitely something that must have been enabled through some sort of testing, and maybe they forgot to turn it off or what, but it's out there now, and
they don't plan to turn it off either.
Well, I think it's because the GameCube controller is one less trigger button, and that's where it's not 100% compatibility, because you can't map a ZL button to a non-ZL. So
isn't it amazing that stupid decision back then is still haunting them in a way?
It is. So I don't think I realized how weird it was until now. I'm like, why was there only one button? Why would, yeah.
Some third-party controllers, I think like Nyko, did put one, and it was like programmable. You can make it whatever you wanted it to be. But I don't know why they never added that extra shoulder button.
That's weird. Yeah, I think, I don't know, it seems like the USB headset support, I don't know if they didn't really publicize that either, did they? So it kind of seems like that was kind of a happy accident as well, because I didn't see that in the release notes.
Right. Yeah, definitely a decent amount of this stuff that I guess wasn't in the release notes. So yeah, I'm not sure, what they're planning with all of that, but guess we'll see coming up in the future for sure. So that is the recent system update for the Nintendo Switch. So if you have not updated your system, go do so. The update came out a couple weeks ago, so hopefully you've been playing your Switch enough that it has been updated. But one of the other things that happened recently was Nintendo held a special direct for the Animal Crossing mobile game. We'd known for a while that there was going to be an Animal Crossing mobile game. They finally unveiled it. It is Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. And essentially, typically their mobile games were meant to be sort of a gateway to, something else, like a full experience on a Nintendo console. This Animal Crossing game seems like it's a little bit more fully featured than I was expecting, to be honest, but it definitely, doesn't have all the bells and whistles, so to speak, of full featured Animal Crossing games. I'm on a roll tonight with these.
Don't you mean bells and tokens or tickets, the Nook tickets?
It just didn't flow as well. I thought about it, but I was like, I don't know. But yeah, so basically, essentially, you take on the role of being a campsite manager, and so you have your own little campsite. And you can sort of, design it with different furniture and different things, and you can craft furniture. So you get these, the pieces that you need. You can craft the furniture. You can have different animals that you can go up to and help them fish or catch bugs or do different things, to earn bells and craft materials. And you can also visit your friends' campsites and everything as well. Not like directly online, like playing together at the same time, but more of like a Miitomo kind of a thing where, you can just pop in and see their sort of campsite. And as you, become friends with certain animals, they'll come visit your campsite and stay around just like, your normal Animal Crossing game. The big, takeaway with this is since this is a mobile game, if you are building certain things in the game, you can either wait like 2 days for something to be built, or if you want it right now, you can spend leaf tickets. Now, you can get leaf tickets in the game, but if you want even more leaf tickets, then of course you're going to have to spend some real money and not just some fake bells. So that's kind of where they're bringing in the mobile aspect into this game. So that being said, since it's got your classic Animal Crossing style mixed in with your free to play style, because this is a free game to download, what are your thoughts on this Animal Crossing experience?
Well, I know Barry is just going to love all the microtransactions, so I'm just going to jump in there and say I don't like them because I need to come on the opposite side of Barry's love for microtransactions. So, yeah, I think it's universal. We all it's just going to eat so much money from a lot of people. And I think because of that, I probably won't get into it nearly as much as I would a normal Animal Crossing game. I'll play around with it. I'll try it out and stuff, but yeah, it's just not that too really exciting for me. I think it'd be fun for a few hours. And maybe it might be something that, if I'm on a trip or something that for whatever reason I don't have my Switch, or maybe my battery on my Switch dies or something, but I still have, my phone battery or something, maybe I'll try it out a little more. What we don't know is if it require internet access all the time. I'm assuming it probably will, and therefore that there goes the times that I normally play Animal Crossing, like on a plane or something. I'd spend hours on a plane, playing on 3DS or whatever. But if they require internet access, I'm probably not gonna be able to do that, and so. I don't know. I'm going to have maybe, a few hours in the very beginning, and then maybe it might be one of those things that I pull it out for 5 minutes every once in a while and see what's going on and then put it back away, because I just don't have the patience to build up everything on my own anymore, and I really don't want to spend a ton of money on an Animal Crossing mobile game. So, yeah.
Yeah, it does require internet access, by the way.
Of course it does.
Yep.
And based on what I read, is basically I think those tickets are basically used just to like speed things up. So if you didn't want to like wait whatever 8 hours of like real time, then you'd spend like a ticket or 2 tickets or whatever, and it'll just like, okay, I'll build it right away. So that's like kind of where I got used for that type of thing. So I don't think there's any requirement to use them, but obviously they might like have like new limited items where they only can be purchased with tickets or something like that too. So what made it really think about it is it kind of compares to the Simpsons Tapped Out mobile game, where it was like you had a currency like donuts, and then it was used to either purchase items or speed up like buildings and make sure everything happens in a very like instead of like hours or potentially even days at a time. But I don't know. Not really into the Animal Crossing thing to begin with, so I'm probably going to be passing on it anyways. And I know Fire Emblem Heroes has microtransactions, but I haven't really dove too much into that. I've just been using the free currency as is. So.
Gotcha. What about you, Barry?
I just really wanted them to open this direct with a video that just shows Rusty, and then have Tom Nook come behind him, take a bug net, and just capture him and throw him back. Like, nope, you had your time in the spotlight, Rusty. Now I am finally the king of taking people's money again, because that's what I've always been doing, but it's always been game money. Now I'm taking real money. Nook has graduated. He has graduated from that I need game currency to I am now going to nickel and dime you and get your real money. So I'm proud of my boy Nook. I mean, he's definitely done that. But as for microtransactions, nope, done. Will I download the game? Possibly. Will I mess around with it? Possibly. Will I tell it to build something that's going to take 8 hours and then probably not open up that app for another 32 days or something like that? Most likely. It's nothing like Fire Emblem Heroes got me. I played through the story. I stopped. Super Mario Run got me. I bought it. I played through everything. When the DLC came out, I played through everything again. I 100%ed it. I put it down. And now it's just like, do I really like? I don't care enough about the mobile games. It's not targeted towards me. It's targeted to bring people who have never played Animal Crossing into that world. And I've been there since the beginning. So to me, it's not targeted to me. It looks fun. It looks like fun. It looks like a blast for kids. But it's just that it's a gateway. If anything, it's just a sign that next year, probably next holiday, there will be Animal Crossing for the Switch, which I know Hassan has been dying for, as well as other people. And I hope so. I hope it's on Amiibo Festival too. But
Happy Home Designer too.
Combo.
Don't do that to me. Don't even put that out in the universe. Please don't.
Could you imagine E3? Reggie walks out. We've heard you. We've heard you. We are combining the 3DS and we are combining our home console into one. Happy Home Designer and Amiibo Festival together. Like something like that.
Package together for a new low price of $59.99.
There's so many things in that statement that are just ridiculous. Like, especially Reggie walking out at E3. Like, that doesn't happen.
Well, I mean, on the film, on the video and in the digital event.
No, this time they're going to hold a press conference just for this Animal Crossing game.
You thought it was crazy for
Nintendo
Land or whatever. Now we have real fireworks.
Yeah. First, we brought you the Wii Music disaster. Then the Nintendo Land firework fizzle out. Now we're bringing you Animal Crossing 2-pack for the Switch.
They get fireworks there too.
Yeah. But they won't be Nintendo Land fireworks.
And balloons, and everybody gets a slingshot.
Oh, there you go.
No, so with this game, and before I get into it real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Estee, who's in the chat as well, and Mike. So shout out to them. So yeah, I mean, I feel like this game reminds me a lot of this game called Power Rangers Legacy Wars for the smartphones as well. And it's a game that like I really want to get into, but I keep losing interest because of the whole mobile tendencies where you only have these 4 slots available, and after you win a game online, you get what's called a morph box, and it fills up one of your 4 slots. And so you get it, you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to unlock some stuff. It says tap to unlock, and I tap it, and then it said there's a countdown timer for 8 hours or 16 hours, and I'm like, oh, great. So I play like 4 or 5 battles, I get my little slots filled, and I have to wait however many hours for them all to unlock, or I can spend a little bit of in-game currency, which I can also spend real money to buy that currency, and unlock it right away to have more slots to continue playing the game. So it's exactly like how this Animal Crossing game is, and it makes me, just basically realize that there's only going to be so much you can do with the in-game Leaf tickets before you literally can't play anymore, because then like you're just stuck. Or whatever slots, so to speak, will be filled up, and you have to wait. And so that's the thing that like. Yeah, it's there to kind of pace things out or whatever, but I'm just going to lose interest in it. Like, I love Animal Crossing, but that just, I don't know. Like, I like the fact that it's a lot more fully featured than I was expecting, but just those mobile tendencies are going to be hard. But what Barry said, I mean, it's a gateway, and I think I've seen a lot of people online that are more casual gamers that are like excited about it. Some people, download it or creating Australian accounts to download it from there, because it is out for those in Australia, by the way. So if you want to play it now, if you're in Australia, you can play the game now. For everybody else, it comes out late this month. So I think that's perfect. And if they do not release a mainline Animal Crossing game on Switch next year, Nintendo is really failing at that one, because this is the perfect opportunity for it. And honestly, I would be confused as to why they're doing it if that's not their reason, because it really is the perfect gateway.
They did it with Fire Emblem. They did it with Mario. You think about it. Super Mario Run came out last year. Odyssey's this year. Fire Emblem Heroes was this year. We got Fire Emblem Warriors and a new Fire Emblem coming next year. So that's the whole point of doing it.
And we also had Echoes that was announced with it too.
Yeah, Echoes as well. They if you want to look at it, they did Miitomo last year, and they did Miitopia this year for the 3DS. So even that had a little bit of a gateway. So Nintendo's not just putting these games out there without a reason. There has to be a reason for it. As for what you were talking about with that model, the Power Rangers model, I actually hadn't seen that before until semi-Nintendo related. There was a Sonic, and there is a Sonic Forces mobile game that just came out like 2 days ago or something like that, that I did download. I'm like, oh, let me just see what this is like. And it used that model, except instead of spending money, you could spend money, or you could just watch an ad to make the box instantly open, which I thought was kind of neat. And I was like, oh, I'm totally going to watch this ad, like hit it and like not pay attention. And then I realized some of these ads were interactive. I'm like, oh, no, so that game's done. Yeah, smart. but it is an interesting model. And again, there's only 4 slots and stuff like that. Pokemon Duel did that too with slots. There were 3 slots for that to open up chests. But you could pay to have a 4th slot. I was like, yeah, no, not happening. So it is an interesting model, but I think Animal Crossing is a little bit different. I don't think you're going to need to use Leaf tickets. I think it's going to be like Fire Emblem Heroes, where you can play the whole game. And Duel's the same way. You can play the whole game without actually spending money. But people are impatient, and they will most likely say, I want it now. I want that virtual swimming pool for my animal friends to come swim in right now. $50, here you go, Nintendo. And I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, Super Mario Run was a failure because it was a buy right away, and I thought that was their best game, where Fire Emblem Heroes had microtransactions and has made the most money for them.
Yeah, that's just because it follows the main mobile formula. I mean, a lot of the games are like free to play, and then you can buy currency to do whatever it is in the game, and then like it just either makes things faster or you get extra content. It's been like the pay to play type models that have been popular on mobile.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, definitely Nintendo's embracing the mobile model, and profit-wise, it'll be good for them. But I honestly, if this is what it takes to get us that mainline Animal Crossing game on Switch, fine, Nintendo, do it. I just want my Animal Crossing game next year. Give it to me.
You know what's gonna pain me is when they do Legend of Zelda Mobile. And if you remember in the original Zelda game, there were no arrows. You had every time you fired the bow, you actually cost a rupee. So if you had a full stack of rupees, you had a full stack of arrows. It's going to start doing dollars. Like, oh, you need to kill Goma? Well, you better not miss, because each one is an actual dollar that you are spending to fire the bow and arrow. And that will be the first Zelda game I won't touch.
Oh man, that'd be crazy. You know, I don't fault obviously Nintendo for trying to make money. This is a great thing for them if they can make a lot of money. Here's the thing, they better be using that money wisely. Like all that money you're making off Fire Emblem Warriors, why don't you shovel it over to a better online system for your Switch?
Heroes, not warriors.
Oh, whatever. I'm not a huge Fire Emblem fan.
Not whatever.
Greg over there's like, no, they're different, man.
All the Fire Emblem fans from our show just shot me hate.
Animal Crossing New Leaf, Amiibo Festival, whatever.
Yeah, no, whatever. You're all animals walking around like crazy, you know, shooting balloons and catching fish and firing emblems. But yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, if they use this money to actually make their systems better and everything, that'd be awesome. So, I mean, keep shoveling out microtransactions all you want, as long as you use that money to make your true fans, I think, happy. I think one of the things that I would love is if they put a whole lot of money into a better online system. And so when we start paying for that, it better be better.
You just brought up something about Animal Crossing too, the mobile game. I don't know if you noticed this in the Direct, but they showed fishing, and they're like, oh, well, we need 3 of this fish. And they fished, and it's like, oh, here's a horse mackerel. All right, this time, oh, another horse mackerel. Like, all I'm getting is crap. Well, let me go spend real money to get a fishing net, and I'm probably just going to get more horse mackerel. Oh, look, I got everything I need and all good stuff. So you could do it the slow way and get literal crap, or you could spend money and get good stuff.
Buy the golden tools that are in Animal Crossing, right? So
yeah,
there you go. They're golden because you're spending your real money from those things. All right. Well, so we'll see. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. If you're in Australia, you can play it right now and let us know how it is. Otherwise, we'll have some more thoughts in the future. But I want to get on to the true, console gaming experience, although semi-portable, hybrid, whatever you want to call it, the true experience here with Mario, which is with Super Mario Odyssey. So I got Cappy right here, and let's talk about this game. So first of all, before we jump in, I want to say to anybody listening, no spoilers. We're not going to be spoiling anything for you, so don't worry. We're just going to talk in general. I think at some point we'll probably have a game chat on our channel, which I assume will get into more details and spoilers and that kind of thing. But for this podcast, I just want to give general impressions and thoughts and that sort of thing. So first, how far are you guys in the game?
Not very. I was holding out for a review copy, and I finally realized I wasn't going to get one, and so I'm actually like a week behind almost everybody else that put it up they got it on release day, and so I'm not as far along, and I kind of try to take my time with each of them, because I think that's the hardest thing with the more open world kind of Mario games is like, I want to collect everything I can before I move on to the next thing. And so it's kind of slowed me down a little bit. It was the same thing that happened in Breath of the Wild as well. And so I think I'm like in the 3rd world. It's like wooded area or something like that. So not very far along, far from, 100% completion for sure. But enough to be having a lot of fun and realizing that this is definitely one of the best 3D Mario games, and I've been having a blast with it.
On my ride home on the train today, I did beat the final boss. I won't spoil who it is, in case you don't know. But I beat him on my ride home and already on to the first piece of bonus. But Yeah, it's like, I don't know, at least 20, 30 hours in, something like that. I don't know. I've been playing a lot.
Nice. What about you, Barry?
Unlike Steve, I couldn't contain myself, and the child in me came out. So I have got all 880 moons, and bought the additional to get 999. I've completed everything in the game, and I'm not going to spoil anything, like who the final boss's gender is, Greg. But yeah, it's one of those things where I felt like I was back in 8th grade again playing Mario 64 when Mario 64 came out with the N64, and I had a smile on my face the entire freaking time. So I don't know how long I played. I know, like, last time I checked my Switch, it's like first played 8 days ago. I don't know if it's finally updated. If any of you have your Switch handy, you could tell me how long I've played. I'm going to say I probably put in 60 plus hours. Easy, maybe 80 plus hours. And the entire time I had fun, with a few exceptions like the jump rope and a few of the more difficult challenges. So it was a little bit frustrating, but it was never bad frustrating. It was like my knuckles started sweating and stuff, and it was like, can I do it? And all I could think about was TikTok clock as a kid. Like, oh man, like this is it again. And it was great. It was just the only other game this year, even in the past few years, that has made me feel like that was Breath of the Wild. So it's truly something that needs to be played. I've enjoyed it. I don't know when I'm gonna go back to it now, because there's no DLC planned, and I'm kind of done, which is sad. But I'm also glad because I can move on. There's a lot of games coming out this month for the Switch, so it's one less thing to worry about. But I am interested to hear other people's take on it, and I don't want to spoil things here.
Right. Yeah, and I beat the story a couple days ago, and then explored a little bit of some post-game content, but then my wife has been kind of playing through it so she can get through the story. So, yeah, I mean, this game is a lot of fun. I mean, obviously, the big new thing is it is sort of open world, and it really encourages you to explore all around and find every little thing. And I think at first, I will say, at the very beginning of the game, I was a little taken aback at just how easy everything kind of felt. And I was like, okay, I'm finding a moon like every 5 seconds, and there's purple coins everywhere. Like, I was kind of like, this is just really easy and straightforward. And but as it kind of continued a little bit, pretty soon, I was kind of like, you know what? Two things. One, it can get challenging at certain points, especially if you try and do get every little thing. And as the game progresses, there are some parts of the game where I had to replay certain levels multiple times, and it does get pretty challenging. And I haven't really gotten into post-game content, but I hear that's even more challenging. But then also too, I kind of like the fact that now that there is stuff all over the place, because every little corner that you're turning, you don't feel like you wasted the energy to go down this corner and go down this little pathway to find nothing, because there's usually something there. Like, I haven't found a place in the game, I don't think, that I tried to explore down and didn't find anything there. Like, there's always usually something. So I think that's what's really been cool about this game, is they've really put in stuff all over and really encourage you to explore. And it's just so much fun. There's just so much variety in it too. It's really exciting to experience.
That's cool. That's good to hear about the difficulty level, because I did think it was a little easy in the beginning, but I did notice, I mean, I think they're still making it so rather accessible for other people. And so I think you can really, at least so far, the short amount of time, about 8 hours, 6 or 7, 8 hours that I put into it, that it seems like that you could probably get through the main game and not be super challenged. But if you want to get everything in the game, that's when the challenges really start happening, and not anyone can really 100% the game. That's when it starts getting really a lot. And that was the biggest thing, because I remember, I think one of the very first areas, I was like, yeah, I've surely I've gotten all the moons in this area. And I go to a little menu, I'm like, how were there like 9 that I missed? Where are they? And so that was already challenging, which was just kind of cool to like see that I thought it was going to be a really easy game, and then I was confronted with the fact that, oh no, this is going to be challenging. It's going to be require me to replay these levels several times to really find every little nook and cranny, and then be able to accomplish the tasks that I needed to get those extra moons and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra moons that will fill your list. You will have to go back. Even if you try to 100% as you go, you will definitely have to go back. One thing I loved about Mario Sunshine going back were the challenge levels where you didn't have Flood. I thought those were really interesting and really changed up the game, because the whole time you had that crutch that was Flood, and now you didn't. And this game is the same because you have Cappy. Cappy is a crutch. You can do some amazing jumps and tricks and save yourself. And there's the Scarecrow. If you find the Scarecrow, which is not a spoiler, and there's Scarecrow rooms and challenges that are just like Sunshine where you don't have Cappy, and you really have to figure out how to do some of these without that crutch. And sometimes it involves, there's one where I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally going to capture this enemy, and I go to capture, I'm like, oh, you can't now. I got to figure out how to do it without capturing. And I will say, for difficulty, definitely going for everything, there are some difficult challenges. Definitely post-game, there are more difficult challenges, and this isn't really a spoiler because if you played any other 3D Mario game, 3D Land, 3D World, Galaxy 2, there's a Champions Road type level, that final level, and this game has one, and it's up there in difficulty. It's not as difficult as say like 3D Worlds in my opinion, but I must have spent a good several hours on it simply because of like 1 or 2 sections gave me problems, and there's no practice, there's no checkpoints. So if you fail a section, you're back at the beginning. So like I got really good at the beginning sections of this level because I was like, oh yeah, I'm done with doing this 100 times, but you miss a jump, or you something happens down the road, you're back to the beginning. But that, I thought that was good that they added that. They had that extra little challenge for you to do. And the fact that they allow you to buy moons post-game, this is technically post-game, but it's not really much of a secret that you could just buy moons because to access everything you need at least 500 moons. So if you're somehow having problems, they allow the player to say, hey, you could just buy moons and see all the rest of the content. Although I'm not sure what you're going to do on that final level if you need to buy the moons to get to 500, because it's that tough. But it's nice that they actually do throw that crutch to players, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a lot of options there, and I like the variety of things in the chat room. They're all talking about some of their favorite kingdoms, and I don't want to say much because these could potentially be spoilers. One of them, Steve Desmarais said, is the Cascade Kingdom. That's like pretty early on. But Mike also mentioned that he is #1 on one of these little things. All I'll say is there are at least a couple challenges that you can do in certain places in the game where you can actually, it's like a little tiny mini game in a way, and then you can upload your score and compare online with others. And so there's definitely one of them that I saw in particular, and it's like, you know what, I got to try and do better and beat some other people's scores, and then I kind of moved on after that. But I kind of like that little, the little bit of like a little competitive mini game they kind of threw in there as well. It's a lot of fun to have those little distractions in the game, and it really adds something more to the overall experience, I think.
At least a hat tip for me for the person that has the high score in the Metro Kingdom game, because I checked that out and that's very absurd to me. Definitely won't be going after that one.
Yeah, I feel like they must have had like a robot or something like pre-programmed to push buttons at a certain time or something for some of those games.
Because I've only played, I think, one of them so far, is the one where you in the desert one where you have to run around in a circle like the invisible circle or something like that. Is that one of them that you can compete in?
No, I don't think so, at least. There's like a little scoreboard thing. The first one that I came across is in the Metro Kingdom, at least.
Yeah.
I could have missed one in one of the earlier ones, but
No, the first one you come across is the Metro Kingdom, but there's two actually you come across, but there are later in post
there's ones
game
in the ones after that one.
there are some more that happen, and now you know, now that you're saying that, Mike, I might have to boot it up now just to that challenge.
Just take it down.
You know.
So so there's a lot to do in the game for sure, and I think the cool thing about it as well is there's so many, like, you have a lot of the classic moves that you could do in 3D Mario games, and then with the addition of Cappy, you can take it to a whole new level. And I've sort of seen like all sorts of crazy combinations of jumps and throws and diving and jumping off of Cappy, and like it gets pretty crazy to like mess around with it and see, you know, the types of moves that you can do in the game. And yeah, I mean, I like the freedom that you kind of have with all the controls for sure. Definitely. So what controller, by the way, did you guys, or what configuration did you typically play with? Like, I did the split Joy-Cons pretty much the whole time.
I've only played with Pro Controller. I was planning on doing that the whole time, and then it's like, oh yeah, you can have extra controls and stuff with the Joy-Cons, and I was like, but my Switch is all the way across the room, and I don't feel like getting up and taking the Joy-Cons off. So I continued to play with the Pro Controller, and then I realized that a lot of the moves can be pulled off with the Pro Controller just a little differently, and so I just kept playing with the Pro.
I've just been playing in handheld mode as expected. Joy-Cons attached, not tabletop mode. I haven't been able to figure out some of the advanced techniques, but I've definitely gotten by without them.
Yeah, I've been doing good news for you, Steve. I did the whole game with Pro Controller, so it's completely doable. There are a few moons that require the spinning technique, which requires shaking while moving. So it's like, you know, like, come on. And I somehow managed to do it. There were a few moons that I sat there and I'm like, you know, the motion controls aren't forced, but there were a few moons that you need motion controls. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, why isn't this working? I know what to do. I'm just missing it. Why am I just missing it? Racking my brain. And to the point that I'm finally like, you know what? I'm looking up. I spent 20 minutes. And it's like, oh, yeah, you need to shake to get a higher jump or shake to get an extra boost. I'm like, what? Like, really? Yeah. I know what to do. Like, I just felt so cheated at those moments. Like, come on. Yeah. Like, that shouldn't be required.
I do like some, and we can talk more about it later, like in the game chat. I don't want to dive too much into this, some of these details, but one of the things that I was kind of turned off by, I think in the beginning, was I think they kept the on-screen controls on the screen too much at times. I'm like, get off. I got it. I know I'm supposed to do, like, hit the B button to jump, move away, like, so I can see the rest of the screen. But at times, at other times I was thankful that they left them on there, because I didn't read it when it first came on, and I, you know, should have known that I could have shaken the controller to get higher on, you know, with the, I forget what they're called, but the things that you can take over that you stretch, and then you, if you shake, you go even higher with it. And I was grateful that it stayed on the screen longer, because I needed that much longer to actually read the screen and to see that I could reach some of that other stuff. So I have mixed feelings toward the on-screen video control things.
Well, yeah, it's very difficult. If, like, you just let it sit there for, like, whatever, 3 or 4 seconds, it, like, pops right up on the screen too. So there's a couple areas where, like, you're in the process of, like, navigating through, and you're waiting for, like, an enemy to be in a certain spot or whatever, and then it's just like, you gotta beat it. And, like, I know how the controls work. You don't have to tell me. It's just kind of stupid at times.
It's kind of like those signposts, you know, they tell you what to do at the beginning, and then they appear later on, and it's like, no, I don't need to know how to butt stomp again. You know, I know this.
Exactly. Yeah, the ground pound was the worst. I'm like, I know how to do this by now.
Only been doing the ground pound since, like, Mario 64, like, for many years. You know, like, come on. But no. Yeah, I guess, you know.
Same thing with the long jump.
Right. Yeah, there's all these like classic moves that by now should be perfected, I think. Steve Desmarais. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I will say this. One thing I did notice, and this is a kind of knock on it, not big, an inconsistency with the controls. I did notice occasionally. There were times where, you know, yeah, that's kind of spoiler, but like trying to do a jump, and you're doing it 99 out of 100 times, but that 100th time it should have worked, but it didn't. Like you just didn't get an extra little momentum. And one thing that has always bugged me since Mario 64, and I understood it because of the lack of buttons, was the butt stomp, crouch, long jump, all using Z. And I didn't really have as many problems until this game, because there's all those fancy things you can do in the air where you could throw Cappy in, you know, long jumping and then jump on and dive on top of him and all that stuff. And so many times while trying to do it, especially in critical positions, it would butt stomp me down. I'm like, no, you know, like, because it's the same button. Like, why? Why is it, you know, I know these moves because they're ingrained in me, but occasionally it would happen. I'm like, why didn't they map this to a different button now? This all this extra buttons, you know, why didn't we switch these two things up? Because if you're not careful, that will mess you up.
Right. Yeah. The so Steve Desmarais in the chat said split Joy-Cons, no straps, because I'm a rebel. So that's how he's playing the game. And then shout out to Retrovisions for joining as well. So I think that's going to kind of wrap up sort of our initial thoughts on Super Mario Odyssey. Obviously, as you can see, there's a lot to do in this game, and definitely really fun. But we've just sort of barely delved into it because there's just so much there. So if you want to hear more about the game, then definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel and keep an eye out for our future game chat on Super Mario Odyssey, where you can hear even more about it as well. So if you have a Nintendo Switch, get Super Mario Odyssey. If you don't have a Nintendo Switch, get Super Mario Odyssey and the Switch and join the fun this holiday season. There's a great new bundle that's available with red Joy-Cons. And the red Joy-Cons, I did import them separately from Japan. I gotta say, they might be some of my favorite pair of Joy-Cons. I love blue, it's my favorite color. But these red ones are so fantastic. Like, the neon ones are cool, but these look really, really nice. And if you do want to import them on Amazon Japan, shipping and everything included, it's literally $5 more than the retail cost. So it's really basically the same thing if you wanted to import as well. So just throwing that out there as well.
Just an FYI about that bundle, though. That Switch bundle. It is a digital copy of the game, and they did not give you the physical copy, which, just that knife, just twist. Come on. So if you are interested in it and you do like physical like me, get them separately. Don't be disappointed.
Barry, you'll be happy to know that I purchased my second physical game. I bought Mario Odyssey in the physical copy instead of getting the digital. So.
Well, I'm very proud of you. Steve, you have hit your second, and I just hit my 40 seconds. It's like
I'm running out of space on my SD card now, though. So
more physical.
I actually had two physical games, but one of them's not Odyssey. Dun dun dun.
You got to support physical, and then you get stuff like this. You know, you get stuff like this physically. You know, if you support physical. And then it's there forever.
True.
My Switch will live
on. The game requires an update, and the update is no longer available to download.
Yeah, we could go on and on. Oh man!
Oh, look at the time
that they're doing. Oh man!
The can has been opened.
let's put the lid back on the container for now, and continue on. Shout out to Jakester, the Knight of Darkness. I think we need to contain the darkness with the talk that we just sort of mentioned there, and let's get into our last main topic for tonight, which is what's coming up for the Switch for the holidays, right? So because the next podcast, for those that don't know, our December podcast is usually, it's a Game of the Year episode. So basically we're all going to have our Game of the Year picks, and next time we'll talk about how we're going to organize it and all that stuff, and we'll crown our NintendoFuse Game of the Year. And so that will be the sole focus of the episode next week, and it's so much fun. So definitely you don't want to miss that one. That will be
I
on.
want to know if Steve's going to do the amiibo challenge again. You know, will that
No,
come back?
no, I'm gonna get Bayonetta for a third time in a row.
Yeah, there we go. Bayonetta Game of the Year confirmed. So that will be on December 4th, by the way. So the first Monday night of every month we do the podcast. So Game of the Year episode is then. So in the meantime, I wanted to look ahead at the holidays, what's coming out this month, next month, and talk about what we're looking forward to. So I'm just going to run through a couple titles, and I'm sure I'm not covering all of it because there's a lot of games that have been releasing on the Switch and will be coming. But essentially, Sonic Forces comes out tomorrow. We have Doom on the 10th. Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2 comes out November 14th. Skyrim on November 17th. We have Rime on November 17th. December 1st is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Runner 3 is slated for the fall. I'm going off of this one website, so I don't know if all these things are completely true. Rocket League, I know, got a release date of November 14th, right? Okay.
Yeah, 14th digitally.
Yes, very, very close. What else? Okay, this list is really long. So let's just kind of, if there's certain games that you all are looking forward to as well, we can sort of mention it as we go through each of us. I know for me personally, I'm going to be continuing with Odyssey, but Rocket League, definitely excited about that. I might actually get Uno this week because apparently it just came out on the eShop in Australia, so I assume it might be coming out in other countries this week, or if not, I'll just get it from the Australian eShop or something, because Uno is pretty fun. And I don't think there's anything else major. If Runner 3 is coming out this year still, then I'll probably get that. Doom is a maybe. But otherwise, I think that might be it for me. Because then we'll also have the Zelda DLC to play this year, because that is still coming out at some point. They reconfirmed sometime this year. So we'll see with that. But what games are you guys looking forward to for the remainder of the year?
Rocket League. Yeah, I'm pretty much going to be playing that, and I'll probably go back eventually to Zelda as well. But yeah, Rocket League is like what I'll be playing a lot of. And then I do have, I'm hopefully going to get the review copy for Doom. I'm not that excited about it. I think it's going to be fun to have on the Switch, but yeah, I want. Well, let's put it this way. If we get the review copy, cool, I'll play it and I'll review it. But if not, I probably won't buy it. And then Lego Marvel 2 is the other game that I'm really excited about. I'm a huge Lego game fan, and I'm a huge Marvel fan. And so the first one was great. I know the second one's going to be really cool too. And so yeah, that's probably gonna be one of those games that I'll get, and maybe I won't play like through the entire thing right at the front, but I'll probably kind of keep going back to it over and over again and play it as I travel and stuff like that. And eventually, 3 or 4 years down the road, I'll eventually 100% it, because that's just what you can do with those Lego games. And they're always hilarious. I love the cutscenes and everything that they put together. They're just really funny. So that's probably about it, really. I got Monopoly the other day to review. I like Monopoly. We'll see how it is on the Switch, but yeah.
Is it just as accessible to just like how you just lay out a Monopoly board game? Can you just put a Switch tabletop mode and just play like that? I mean, do you foresee people doing that instead of the board game?
I guess they could, but it's a lot smaller than the board game, so I don't really know. But I guess you could. We'll see if I go to like gaming events and see like people popping out Monopoly. I actually don't know if it'll really sell that well. I don't really perceive games like that selling very well. But we'll see. After I get some time with it, I'll tell you if it's good or not. But I imagine it's just going to be a lot of like the Monopoly video games before it.
Gotcha. What about you, Greg?
The main one on my radar is Skyrim. I'm really hoping to get the review copy, but if I don't, then I'll have to pick it up. But I'll have to see where that goes. I still haven't gotten Fire Emblem Warriors, so that's still on my holiday list. So I missed out on the review copy, as in Steve didn't get Odyssey either. So that was on like the same communication thing. So it's another one I'll be picking up soon to play for the holiday season. That'll probably cap me out through the rest of the year. Still got to play SteamWorld Dig 2 and Zelda DLC. So plenty of stuff to go around.
Gotcha. What about you, Barry?
For me, Sonic Forces tomorrow. I actually got my shipping confirmation, so I will be hopefully had some time tomorrow to put some effort into that. Skyrim, I'm looking forward to. LA Noire. While I probably won't play Doom, I'm still going to be getting it to support Bethesda. I want to support third parties. I want third parties to come out. Resident Evil Revelations. I played half of the first one, and I really enjoyed it. So that's coming out this month. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is my big one. That for sure. We'll be ready to go. Also, on the 3DS, even though it's not dead, Mario Party, the top 100 is this week. I think the 10th that I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. And of course, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon is the 17th. So those are still coming out. It's just jam packed. Farming Simulator is tomorrow. I think my wife's actually going to give that one a shot. But yeah, there's just a lot of games coming out. Just on the physical side, I haven't even looked at digital side. But if you are a Switch owner, this holiday is amazing. There's so many games to play, and no time at all.
Yeah, no, I honestly forgot about the 3DS there too. I forgot about Mario Party. I actually do have it pre-ordered, a physical copy for once, which is rare for me.
All right.
But the because then I think my sisters will probably play it a decent amount, so I figured I'd get that to kind of pop between systems there. But yeah, so yeah, there's a decent amount of stuff, and I don't want to talk too much into looking back at the year and sort of all that kind of thing, because obviously the Game of the Year episode will really do that. But I mean, do you guys feel like this year, at least for me personally, I feel like I bought a lot of games this year compared to, if you guys listened to the podcast last year, the Game of the Year one, it was a mess. I didn't play half the stuff because there was like nothing there. But I feel like there's so much stuff that I've gotten this year, especially for Switch. I mean, it's just been jam-packed with content. And so even if like they didn't release much new stuff in the holidays, I feel like I would be fine. I feel like I would still have so much that I could still enjoy. And yet there are a couple of games coming out in the holidays that I still, want to get. So I don't know. Do you guys feel the same, that like this year there's been so much, right? Like it's just been a lot to keep up with.
Yeah. It's hard for me to even think about what is next year because I've already got so many games in my backlog that I haven't played this year. So like the fact that hopefully they'll continue building upon it and we have even better games, coming in 2018, 2019 and everything, that's it's good. But if I'm honest, it's a bit overwhelming because we had such a great lineup already this year, and I've already got plenty of great games to play. So yeah, I could be okay if they slow down a little bit. Give me some time to play them.
Yeah, definitely share those sentiments. There's just so much, but not enough time for everything that you want to.
Yeah, like as a multi-console owner, years like last year, it was a blessing because there was nothing to do on Nintendo consoles for the most part. So it was a blessing because there were other games to play. This year, it's a curse because there's too many games to play. The Switch is on fire. I'm absolutely killing it, and I haven't even had time to even look at my other consoles. And I've gotten games in that I've been waiting for. And it's like I haven't touched South Park yet, and I was looking forward to that for so long. It looks great. and I haven't had the time because Odyssey was coming out, and I'm a big .hack fan, and they just re-released the GU with a brand new chapter, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to play that, but when am I gonna have time? There's just no time. So I'm with you. I'm okay with 2018 being a slower year. I know we were talking about earlier how Nintendo needs to keep the momentum going, and they do, but as a gamer, I'm okay with a little bit slow, just to catch up on this backlog, because I have a feeling that the majority of people will have a backlog from 2017 larger than all other years. You know, it's just crazy.
Yeah. Especially because a lot of people are going to be getting them, around the holiday season, and they've already got to catch up on all the Zelda and all the Mario Odyssey and the Splatoon and the ARMS and the Xenoblade and all. There go, the list just goes on and on and on.
That's another thing. Hassan mentioned the Breath of the Wild DLC is coming supposedly out this month. That's another thing on top of the holidays. Like, oh my god, there's so much.
Right, and speaking of new Switch owners and stuff as well, I guess I should mention for Black Friday, Nintendo's releasing the Legend of Zelda Explorers Edition. So for those that don't have the game, or if you want to double dip, there's like an extra little Explorer's Guide that will come with the game as well, which is pretty neat. So it's just an extra incentive, to further enjoy Breath of the Wild, which is already incredible. In addition, there's a special Zelda 2DS, with green and everything, and it comes with Ocarina of Time 3D, which is only in 2D, but preloaded digitally on the system, and that's $80. So $80, you now have access to the entire library of 3DS titles with Ocarina of Time. Arguably, I mean, the greatest or one of the greatest Zelda games in many people's eyes, right there. I mean, that's incredible value. So lots of great stuff for the holidays, for sure, definitely.
I will say that Explorers Edition, I am very disappointed with it. As a Zelda fan, I wanted a double dip, but I wanted the DLC to be on the cart, to be like, here it is, the complete edition with everything. But no, it does not contain any of the DLC or the season pass or anything like that, which I think is a missed opportunity.
And I think we'll see that
I guess
next year or like a couple years down the road.
Right, because the thing too is technically the DLC, we don't know. All they said is this year. They didn't say exactly when it's coming, so it could be possible that it comes out in December, at which point, this Explorers Edition may already be out. So the we just don't know exactly when they plan on releasing that, and time frame wise, I guess too.
I think it'll be November. There's some rumors that November 23rd.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought, because that's when the Amiibo are releasing. But then I also wonder if that's the case, why they haven't said it yet, because it's like, it's fast approaching, Nintendo. You gotta let us know what's going on, because if this is some new story mode stuff, like, I feel like you should be hyping this up even more. But I guess then again, Super Mario Odyssey just came out. They don't want to take the focus away from that, so I suppose that does make sense. But yeah, we'll see.
They're not going to take the focus from Xenoblade tomorrow either.
Exactly,
yes.
Right. So, we're talking about the holidays and stuff. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 comes out, doesn't come out tomorrow. It comes out December 1st, but they have a special direct tomorrow morning as well. So, in true NintendoFuse podcast tradition, podcast and then direct, as always. So, there you go. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
So we'll get lots more information about that game, and that comes out next month. So lots happening there. So yeah, I mean, definitely it's a good time to be a Nintendo fan. Finally, right? It's been a while since we've been able to say that. So finally, it's a good time to be a Nintendo fan. And that about, I think, wraps up the discussion for this week. A bunch of people in the chat were also excited about some of the games we mentioned. Jakester was excited about Xenoblade and Doom and Rocket League. Mike is waiting for his review copy of Sonic tomorrow and Farming Sim. And Mike also says they need to add additional storage solutions soon, though, those games with multi-gigabyte downloads, which that's a whole topic in and of itself for sure, definitely.
I like it, though.
One day we'll explore that topic again. But next time is the Game of the Year special. So set your calendars for December 4th, that Monday night, and tune in and listen to us crown our NintendoFuse 2017 Game of the Year. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I mean, be ready to discuss yours too. We want to hear from you guys in the chat what games you think are Game of the Year and the best in the categories as we go through them as well. I think that'd be fun just to see how our opinions stack up with yours as well.
Exactly. Especially because you know that one of the big showdowns, I don't think I need to say it. You know one of the big showdowns that's going to happen, and I'm very curious to see where we stand and where all of you stand on that showdown there. That'll be very, very interesting.
I know. I can't wait. Monopoly versus Troll and I. Who's going to win Game of the Year?
Uno.
Yeah, Uno.
Stealth win.
I'm more interested to see if Barry's going to push up Xenoblade, even though he's only had it for a couple of days at that point, versus Odyssey versus Zelda. So.
I see. I have to. For those of you that have listened to 2 years ago, I think it was our Game of the Year. I had a conundrum because I was, oh my God, what's going to do it? Is it going to be Xenoblade Chronicles X or is it going to be Breath of the Wild? Although at that time it was just Zelda Wii U, and then Zelda got delayed, so I was like, oh cool, Xenoblade Chronicles wins by default. I don't have to make that decision, but now I do, as well as Mario. So I am not sleeping in December, at least the first part. I'm just going to have to play as much Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as possible. To be able to give it a good, solid nod, and where it places. I don't know. It could be the upset. You know,
you got to give it just as much time as you did Zelda. So how many hours was that?
245 or something like that.
So nonstop. Barry's gonna come on the podcast like, what's going on? Huh? What? Who am I? Where am I?
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, let's do this. Okay, whatever. You know, like I'll be sleeping and you'll have to like wake me. Like, Barry, it's your turn to talk. Whoa, okay, yeah, okay. You know, yeah, sure, absolutely. So you never know. It's going to be an interesting podcast. I might go Bayonetta. I might pull a Steve. Who knows? We'll see.
Maybe in your delirium from lack of sleep, that Bayonetta will appear again.
Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. There we go.
Another meeting to a sleeper hit.
Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. Nice. But yeah, so anyways, thank you all so much again for listening, to everybody that joined in the chat and joined us live as well. We will see you next month. Thank you again, and have a good night.
See ya.
Good night.
Yeah.